The story of Abraham, the man who walked by faith. Abraham, the father of faith. He left his home, not knowing where the road would lead, only trusting the voice of God. Through every trial, every tear, and every test, Abraham's faith never wavered. His story reminds us that when we trust God completely, miracles unfold beyond what our eyes can see.
Long ago, in a land filled with idols and false gods, there lived a man named Abram. He was not a king nor a warrior, but a man with a heart willing to listen. Abram lived in Ur of the Chaldeans, a rich city full of trade and worshippers of many gods. But one night, amidst the silence, Abram heard a voice that would change his life forever, the voice of the one true God. Abram, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. Your name will be great, and you will be a blessing. Can you imagine the weight of those words? To leave everything behind, your home, your family, your comfort, and follow a voice you cannot see, but you believe. Yet Abram did not question. He did not demand proof. He simply believed. At 75 years old, Abram gathered his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions. They set out toward an unknown land, a land promised by God. Day after day, under the scorching sun and cold nights, Abram walked by faith, not by sight. Abram, where will we go? To the place the Lord will show us, my love. He will guide our steps. When Abram reached Canaan, the Lord appeared to him once more. To your descendants I will give this land. And there, in that sacred moment, Abram built an altar to the Lord, the first of many, as a symbol of his faith. He worshipped, giving thanks not for what he had already received, but for what God promised. That is faith, believing before you see, trusting before you hold. Time passed. There were famines, challenges, and moments of doubt. Abram was human, after all, but even in fear and weakness, God's voice remained near. And each time Abram stumbled, the Lord lifted him again. Years later, God took Abram outside under the vast starry sky. Look up at the heavens and count the stars if you can. So shall your descendants be. And under those glittering lights, Abram believed again. Though he had no child, though his body was old, he believed that the same God who made the stars could make the impossible come true. That night, God made a covenant with Abram, a sacred promise that his faith would become the foundation of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but Abraham, for I have made you the father of many nations. And Sarai, his wife, was renamed Sarah. Though they were old and weary, God would bless them with a son, Isaac, through whom his promises would be fulfilled. The call of Abraham is not just a story from the past. It is a message for all who walk in faith today. God still calls to leave behind fear, doubt, and comfort, and to follow him into the unknown. When God calls, he provides. When he promises, he fulfills. And when we trust him, our lives become part of his eternal plan. Abraham's faith became the seed of nations, a faith that still speaks to every believer today. So when you hear God's whisper in your heart, remember Abraham and take that step of faith. This is the story of the call of Abraham, a story of trust, courage, and the unshakable power of faith. In the land of Canaan, beneath the golden sun and endless sky, lived a man chosen by God, Abraham, a man of great faith. For many years, he and his wife Sarah longed for a child. But as the seasons passed, their hair turned gray and their hope began to fade. Yet in the silence of their hearts, a promise from God still echoed. One quiet night, God spoke to Abraham and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars if you can. So shall your descendants be." Abraham believed, even when everything seemed impossible. And though Sarah laughed when she heard the promise, because she was already 90 years old, God reminded them, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" And soon the impossible happened. Sarah conceived and bore a son. She named him Isaac, meaning laughter, for she said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." Abraham and Sarah rejoiced. Their tent was filled with laughter and love. The child of promise had arrived, a living proof that God never forgets His word. As Isaac grew, he brought joy not only to his parents, but also to everyone who witnessed the miracle of his birth. Every smile, every step of Isaac reminded Abraham and Sarah of God's faithfulness. But then came a test so great that it would shake the heart of any parent. One day, God called out to Abraham, "Abraham," and he answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham was heartbroken. The child he waited for all his life, the son of promise, God was asking him to give up. Yet, without questioning, Abraham obeyed, for he trusted that God had a plan, even in the pain. Early the next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey, took 2 servants, and Isaac, and they journeyed toward the mountain of Moriah. For 3 long days they walked in silence. Each step was heavy. In Abraham's heart, faith battled sorrow. When they reached the mountain, Abraham said to his servants, "Stay here. The boy and I will go over there and worship, and we will come back to you." Isaac carried the wood for the sacrifice, while Abraham held the fire and knife. Then Isaac,
"Father, we have the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for the offering?" Abraham replied softly, "God Himself will provide the lamb, my son." When they reached the mountain, Abraham built an altar and placed Isaac upon it. Just as he raised the knife, the angel of the Lord called out, "Abraham, do not harm the boy. The Lord will provide." This moment showed Abraham's complete trust in God and symbolized God's plan to one day offer His own son for the salvation of the world.
Please, like, subscribe, and share!